Today's miracle video is called Wholeness of the Spirit, and this is a beautiful video that I've been guided to share, and I've been taking the most beautiful time to connect within, go within during this time in Kauai, and it's been so beneficial. And usually I go live many times, but it was very clear to have a very inward experience so I could better feel the spirit and better feel how the spirit is always communicating. And that is the misconception about the world, is that we think that we always need to be striving and putting out and doing things of the world. But actually, when we're always trying and pushing and forcing, we disconnect from that eternal spirit that lives within, that wants to guide us, that wants to give us the miracles, that wants to birth the miracles through us. But when we're not aware of our own wholeness and moving from our own wholeness, then there's so many fragmentations that can happen in our life because we're living from a life of the ego mentality, the ego minds. And over the last year, you can see that my work has very much expanded, and that has been a direct reflection of the inner work, the inner expansion that has been happening within me. And it has been such a process of purification. It has been such a process of going deep within the unconscious, deep within the mind, to see what blocks are there, what lack, what grief is stored there. And that's what we all have, even a tinge of it. Any little tinge of fear, separation, loss, insecurity, doubt, lack, comparison, jealousy, all of these are coming from fear. There's only two choices we can ever choose, love or fear. And the whole world of time and space is basically based off of survival. It's based off of comparison. It's based off of separation. And what I feel now is that we are here to unify. And that unification starts by unifying with our Creator. It starts by unifying with the spirit within, our eternal spirit within. Because if we don't know who we truly are, beyond the ego mind or beyond the ego identity, it's going to be very hard to be a clear channel and to be following that inner guidance. The way that we get back to our wholeness of the spirit is by cultivating and letting our intuition guide us in every moment. Now, most of the world is based off of, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you make a family, you have babies, and that is really like the status quo of the world of what's normal. But when you're working with the spirit and you're in full alignment with what is actually truly going to bring you the most blessings, the most miracles, the most revelations, because everything that we experience within our life is actually a reflection of what's in our unconscious mind. So whatever situations and scenarios, from the best, most blissful states to the most painful states, these are all how the spirit is nudging or pushing or slightly whispering us to awaken to our true divinity, which is the Christ light within. And that's what Yeshua Christ was embodying, he was emanating, and that is why he wrote A Course in Miracles, to help us find the truth of true reality, which is our oneness in heaven, our oneness in spirit, because we are spirit. We have this experience to just remember that. And we go through different trials and tribulations, and based on the state of our awareness, or based on the state of how much we're listening to that inner guidance or to the spirit, that will bring a completely different outcome. Because when you're living your life in these cages or barriers of the ego mind, it really disconnects you from how much love is actually there within you. And that would be the biggest part about, going into the wholeness of the spirit and really taking time to rest and to go inward, which is essential for better understanding the mind. If you're trying to be a clear channel or to be intuitive or, follow the inner guidance, but you feel so scared, that's because there's something within you that's not allowing you to actually really trust. There maybe be a unconscious belief that you are separated from God, or that you can't hear, or that you're not intuitive. But every single one of us has the Christ light within. Every single one of us has the direct link to the Holy Spirit, to the eternal, the voice for God that is directing us in every single moment. And I have watched my life transform over giving my life over and over and over and over and over again to trusting the Spirit, and how much beauty and miracles has actually come from doing the opposite of what society has programmed us to believe, or what the ego mind has programmed us to believe. And it's even speaking about the ego mind, or speaking about how the ego created time and space, and just a lot of quantum physics terminology too, is that it really tests what you believe. It really tests you to go beyond what you've been told, for you to actually go within. And when you go within and you really ask, you really humbly ask, I would love to be in collaboration with you, Holy Spirit. I would love to be the most clear channel for you. I would love to be a divine oracle. I would love to be a beautiful channel for the divine. And from my perspective, I don't see anything more beautiful than that when you're using your life, your body, to be a communication device for the Holy Spirit, and to be guided and willed in every single moment. It's like, from that place is actually where you find wholeness, because wholeness comes from following the inner guidance, not by listening to fear or the voice of the ego or the voice of somebody else, because that's not coming from within you. And when you start to see what's in the unconscious, or see what's in the ego mind, it can be very threatening, because it will bring a sense of inadequacy or dissatisfaction. And that's what I have been able to discover through undoing the ego mind and continuing to do the forgiveness and the work with A Course in Miracles and being an Akashic channel, is that I'm able to see of what is the traits of what happens when the ego has take full reign. And what I've discovered from my own personal experience is that the ego is always dissatisfied. So this is where all of addiction comes from. It's a dissatisfaction of not feeling that you can fully function in the world based on the very strong systems that are in play within modern day society that really don't support one's intuition, really don't support one of having a life of freedom. And that's why there's so many paradigm shifters and light workers, and the second coming is coming through us, because the Christ is inside all of us. That eternal light lives inside of all of us. And I'm going to be talking more and more about this, about the truth, because the truth is simple. And that's what the ego mind does. It picks apart. It creates out of fear. It creates out of dissatisfaction. It creates out of a way of like, I'm going to do it better than this person, or I'm more special than this group of people. And there's so much pain. The immense amount of pain that comes from this belief in being separated from God, or being separated from your brothers and sisters. And that pain is so deeply embedded, and many people take lifetimes upon lifetimes to actually see what is there within the unconscious, because it can be so threatening to the ego mind. That's why there's going to be more people that fully awaken this lifetime than ever before, because we are ready. And that's how A Course in Miracles was actually created, from the idea of there has to be another way. And I feel that is also why plant medicines are being used by the Holy Spirit to open up this mind, to open up to the fact that there is way more to existence, into the spirit, and to following the inner guidance that we've ever been told. And that's why I am on a mission to help women connect to their wholeness, their inner guidance, their intuition. And from that wholeness, then they can create with the spirit. They can be guided, they can be led. They can be led in a way that is so full of trust and inner union with the spirit. And from that place, that is actually how we can see miracles. Because our perception is shifted. Our perception isn't fixated on being a doer and getting things. It's more about being in collaboration with the spirit. And when you're in collaboration with the spirit, you're just open to the miracles of that wholeness, of that unification with God. And when you're in that unification with God, it will blow your mind. It will blow your conception of what you ever knew to be possible, because you're aligning to that spirit. You're aligning to that wholeness. And hi, Cynthia. I love you. We're both in the Akashic Angel Academy together. It's beautiful, Cynthia. And we both have been going on this journey of undoing the ego mind and what has been coming up. And that's what I love about Akashic Angel Academy, is that we've been able to bring the darkness to the light. We've been able to bring these illusions of separation and fragmentation of the ego mind and bringing them to the spirit and bringing them to the light. And actually, when you bring all the darkness to the light, you can see that there's nothing to be scared of. There's that belief in separation is just a puff of a belief. It's just a puff of dissatisfaction. It's not actually who you truly are. And when more of us start to illuminate that Christ light within and get to know who we truly are, this will completely change your sense of state, your sense of what you are in the world, because you'll see yourself from who you truly are. You'll see yourself from your wholeness, and so you would never doubt where the spirit is guiding you. You would never doubt where your inner guidance is guiding you. When you have a strong intuition, it's a superpower that we all have that lies dormant if we don't clear out the unconscious. If we don't clear out the ego mind, then we're going to be wondering, am I listening to the ego? Am I listening to the spirit? What is it? And it's going to create this sense of dissatisfaction because of your resistance to say, you know what, no, I'm just going to hand it over. And from that handing over, I know that I will be guided and I know that I'll be led. And if I can look forward and backward, I could see how perfectly and how intrinsic the details of the spirit are always guiding, even through the most painful experiences. When you see through the eyes of love and you see and you fix your perception, you will see everything as a blessing, because it's bringing you to your wholeness. It's bringing you to see, oh no, I need to bring it back to my wholeness. I need to bring everything, all of my misperceptions that I see, I need to bring it back inward. And that's what I was talking about earlier in the call. Hi, Heather. Oh, I got my angels here. I love you all. And, yes, so this is what we're here to anchor in. And my angels are here with me. We're all doing this together. The more that all of us cultivate this inner union with the spirit, the more that we'll be able to extend that love and extend that wisdom to others and say, hey, you don't have to do this all alone. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to be competitive. You don't need to be jealous. You don't need to do anything like anybody else, because all is one. And that's another thing the ego resists so much, because it wants its specialness. It wants to feel that its adequacy is out of being different, out of being special. And we don't realize how much suffering that really creates when the deep essence of us just wants to unify and connect together as one. But because of our perception and how the ego mind is what created time and space, it's almost like set us up for failure. It's almost like set us up for disconnection. So we have to go back to the root cause and correct it there at that point. And from that point of shifting our perception and seeing that when we shift our perception, that the whole world changes. It becomes actually an awareness of heaven. And that awareness of heaven comes from joining with the spirit. So right now, we are being asked more than ever to go within, to rest, to take the time to take off, meditate, pray, see what the spirit wants to tell you. Because, it's amazing how the spirit uses everything. It uses all the symbols in the world for correction, for healing, for repair, and it will use different scenarios and situations to show you what you're not seeing or what you don't want to look at, and it'll show you in different scenarios. And the way that we can clear those scenarios, the way that we can collapse time and space, is literally through forgiveness, through bringing in the 3 steps of forgiveness. And through these 3 steps of forgiveness, we are allowing the spirit to collapse time and to literally create a different timeline that we wouldn't have gone on if we weren't aware of all that I'm sharing here. And that's why A Course in Miracles is so powerful, is it's giving us just the straight truth. And many people aren't ready for that, because the truth does set you free. That phase I keep saying over and over again, because to know truth is simple. And when you think about it, God is simple, love is simple, because it just is. There's nothing that needs to explain that essence, because it just is. That's the biggest distortion that religion has played upon this earth, is that it's taken something that is limitlessness, that is eternal, and it's turned it into separation. It's turned into this cage with rituals and sin and things that really create so much fear in the collective. And then just this battle between New Age and Christianity and all of this that I see on the internet is very sad to see how it's taken the essence of love and distorted it and put it in boxes and put people against each other, put wars in the world. All of this comes from this belief in separation, because the ego wants to be right. It's so vigilant to be right because it's so scared to awaken the truth. And that's what I see, is that all of the pain and all of the suffering, all the wars, all the insecurity, all the jealousy that even I felt within me, within my mind, that I've been undoing over the course of this time, that's allowed me to see that only love is real. The only thing that will ever be the greatest force is love. And it's we don't even really know love in a sense, because even romance has distorted love. I give you this and then you give me that, and that's how I love you. That's actually not real love. Love is accepting. Love is nurturing. Love can be the greatest force ever. It is the greatest force ever. But the way that even we've made this sense of romantic love is this ego game. And that's what I've seen throughout the course of my own life, is that once I started undoing this ego mind, certain things in my life weren't a match to me anymore, because I couldn't deny the fact that I was seeing beyond this separation. I was seeing beyond the veil of illusion that has been running the course of time and space. And this illusion is so deeply embedded within the unconscious mind that it does take time. It does take a willingness to pull out and undo. I have my beautiful angels on here. Thank you so much. And it does take time to undo that unconscious. That's why I started to create a longer program, a longer school, because I noticed that you can't just do this in a few months. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take your efforts. It's gonna take willingness. It's gonna see that, my misperception, I perceive something maybe not in the highest. My perception isn't fully on the spirit, and I'm not seeing that person for who they really are. And there's also this sense of real deep peace that comes when you start undoing the ego minds. So the peace that comes from undoing the ego mind is something that is not of this world, because you're using the spirit that's beyond time and space to bring that peace and bring that love here, where it's a dualistic this is a dualistic experience. So you're literally becoming this remembrance of the eternal, of the everlasting, of the perfect presence of God. And what starts to happen is that all the noise and all the chaos of the dualistic, separated world, it doesn't have as much pull on you anymore, because you're not as much invested in that. Your inner knowing of your wholeness of the spirit doesn't start to pull you in different directions based on what you see on the internet or based on what someone tells you, because you're that connected to the spirit. You're that connected to your inner guidance, and that inner guidance is the gold. The inner guidance is actually what starts to direct your everyday life. And that direction is the only voice you're going to want to listen to. And that's what Christ was showing, that he only listened to the voice of spirit, and he was so vigilant for God. He was so vigilant for truth. And that's the other saddest part about what they've done with the Christ teachings and religion, is they've taken the most pure teachings of love and forgiveness, and they've created this sense of duality and separation and so much fear. And this is just not how we were created in the spirit. We were created in perfect wholeness and perfect innocence and perfect love and perfect peace. But it can be so hard to feel that, or to know that's within you, if you have so many barriers and blocks that keep you from actually knowing this true state of wholeness, of pure perfection. And so this pure perfection goes beyond just what you do in the world or who you become in the world. This is something that's your true inheritance. It's a state of being. It's a state of awareness. And that's why all masters, they go into solitude. They disconnect from the world, because they realize that the Maya, the illusion of the world, it's not satisfying the soul. It's not satisfying their inner, union with God, because you can have all the pleasures of the world, but still you're always gonna miss your heavenly creator. You're always gonna miss your true essence, because you know that there's more. You know that if God is perfect love, then there has to be more to this experience. There has to be more to the true self, the true self that is beyond any sense of limitation or lack or any sense of scarcity. And that's another aspect that happens when you start unifying with your wholeness, with the spirit, that you're guided very specifically, very clearly. There's no sense of doubt. There's no sense of fear. And that's what so much wasted energy happens within our mind, is from the fear, from the doubt, from the dissatisfaction, from, I could have done this better, that could have been better, or this is not enough. There's like this not being enough. And I can reflect upon this in my own personal experience, because I am very psychic and very intuitive, and I always have been since a very young child, 3 years old, connecting with angels, seeing the light, having mystical experiences. I never felt that I would ever succeed in the world, or that I would even be able to function in the world, or be anything of the world, because I couldn't fit in. I felt like a literal alien here. And as I start to go on this journey of wholeness, of coming back to who I truly am, I know that I was never meant to be someone in the world that was gonna be like everybody else. I knew that I was here to really awaken to the light, to awaken to my wholeness. And I knew that at a young age. And so from the time around 18, I started meditating very deeply. And this take me on a journey into understanding the mind. But it wasn't until really A Course in Miracles that I was able to see how much this ego mind is really resistant to our awakening, or to us knowing the truth, because it feeds off of our fear. It feeds off of our inadequacy. It feeds off of getting power from you disbelieving in yourself, or even forgetting your true inheritance. Like, I can see, in my early years, teenage, early 20s, just completely being filled with the darkness of the ego mind, whether it was with my body or with money or with relationships. These all come from actually the only problem that we could ever have, and that is the unconscious belief in our separation from God. Because if we know for certain that we are one with God, we would know that there would be no lack. There would be absolutely no lack, no scarcity, no doubt, because God doesn't know of lack. There's no lack in God. It's just perfect wholeness. It's perfect oneness. And we can't actually conceptualize it through the mind. It happens through direct experience. That's why in A Course in Miracles, as much as it's a metaphysical text, it's an experiential path. You won't actually understand or know that it's the truth until you have an actual sense or an actual feeling like this is what I've been searching for. This is an answered prayer. And that's what my prayer was, even after doing so much plant medicine, so much meditating, Akashic channeling. I was like, there has to be a better way to live life. Like, this is not it. And I could feel it. I feel like the Akashic channeling with A Course in Miracles is a beautiful collaboration and weaving. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to combine them in this way. Because I use, the Akashic work to be a clear channel and to practice, but I also use the A Course in Miracles to help us undo the ego mind, to help us undo how much pain and how much suffering there is really there. And when I was asking this deep prayer, I was making a lot of money. I was making $30K months. My business was doing amazing, but I could still feel within my mind, within my sense of self-concept, you could say, that there was so much fear and so much lack. And what that showed me is that this goes deeper than what we see on the physical. This goes deeper than the number in our bank account, or the clothes that we wear, or how many friends that we have, or what we obtain, the things that we obtain in the world. This is really about remembering our true inheritance, our true essence. And that actually sets us free to the point where then the spirit starts working through us. And that gives us everything. And this brings so much joy. Like, I could literally cry. It literally brings you so much joy to be in collaboration with the spirit, because that actually gives you everything. It's like, we don't lack anything. When we're in collaboration, union with God, union with the Spirit, then we're actually just being used. And that gives us everything. And when we are being used, because we've undone enough of that ego mind, we are just in resonance with miracles. So like what started to happen with the women inside Akashic Angel Academy, like, I would love to kind of share the journey thus far. It's like, at the beginning, it was a lot of, like, seeing the darkness. Like, all of us were just feeling how that ego works. Just, like, even maybe rejecting it. Maybe not even wanting to look at it. But because we've been gentle with the pace, and we've gone slowly every single month with a theme, an intention, a prayer, a very single-focused, a very single line of focus is very important. That single line focus every single month is like, every month there's a new onion layer that comes up or comes out, and we're doing it together as a group. We're doing it together, sister with sister, as I and I. We're doing it together as one. In this space, there's no sense of even that, I'm playing the teacher role, of course, but we're in it together. There's a sense of collaboration. There's a sense of unity and community. And in the chat, you can see how each sister is going through the same thing in a different story. Maybe the story is packaged different, but at the heart of it is the same thing. It's the same unconscious belief in separation from God that leads to immense amount of suffering. All the suffering that I had in my life really came from the ego mind, and I thought that was me. I thought that was who I was. And that created so much fear. It created so much lack because I thought that I was the doer, that I was the one doing everything. But now, as I go on this path, I see that I am being used for the highest and greatest. I'm being used for the divine, and we all are. If we can do the proper steps to get there, then we will see the miracles. We will see perfect health, perfect wealth, perfect wholeness, because it's guided and willed by the Spirit. And that actually is what will fulfill you more than anything. Any ego endeavors, any ego titles, or any sense of, putting us on a pedestal because of something. It has nothing to do with that. It's about bringing the true essence of love and the true inheritance of who we are as the Spirit into our experience. And so now we're in month 7, and you can see how the undoing, it's like this beautiful screw being undone from the depth of the mind into seeing, wow, okay, I see where all of this fear, this anxiety, this depression, this sense of lack, I see where it's coming from. And once you could see it, you can't unsee it. It's like once you know something, you know it, and it's a knowing. It's a state of it's a knowing state. Your knowing state is a state where nobody really could tell you otherwise. It's like you're in your knowing state. So from that state, we can know when the ego is coming up, how to forgive it, how to undo it, how to know what is true over what's unreal. And what is true and what is actually real is a different story of what we've been programmed to believe. And that's the most eye-opening thing about quantum physics or about A Course in Miracles, is that the story that we've been fed from the time that we've come into this experience is very different from what is actually true. And that's the most heart-opening, mind-opening thing, is that it allows you to really trust that there is a higher power guiding you, that there is this essence of love within you that is so unlimited, that is so strong. And that sense of love and collaboration with the Spirit, it does give you everything. And that happens from your inspiration. So I could see how I just was sharing with a sister last night. She gave an Akashic session and told another sister about A Course in Miracles. And we were just joining in this sense of freedom, because before you get to this point of awareness, everything feels like you're walking through like a cosmic sludge, or like this heaviness. And you can see it out there in the world, when you go to the airport or the grocery store, or just anywhere that you go, even just driving, you could see how there's this go, you gotta produce, you gotta make something of yourself in the world. And that's where the ego wants to say that that's where your worth comes from. But your worth comes from just you being a creation of God. That's where your true and only worth comes from. So that's already, you're worthy of everything because of that. And you can't be any less than that. because God creates in perfect wholeness, and God can't create anything that isn't like itself. So when you actually get to start to know your heavenly creator as pure love, what starts to happen is that you actually really do forgive yourself, because you can see that you didn't know any better at the time. And then you start to think about all the other people along your journey, how they were just actually like saviors, because they're giving you a sense of showing you what's in the unconscious. They're giving you a sense of where to guide and what blind spots are wanting to be shown. And so that is really what I've been going inside about how to bring this message of love to a place that has still so much separation. And what happened was that I had to disconnect that I was the one bringing the messages. It's me being used by the highest to serve the highest. And that's the only way you ever really want to live your life, no matter what you're doing. Whether it's, being a hairstylist or being a channel or being, whatever's guided in your life. You want to bring this presence of love in every action, in every thought, in everything that you're doing. And what I notice also is that even the people that you think have it perfect, if they still have the ego mind running their life, I can tell you from direct experience that there's still a war in the mind. And that war in the mind, it has to be undone. It has to be corrected. Because if you don't realize who you truly are, whether you realize it this lifetime or another lifetime, it's gonna be really hard to trust, because it's like trusting on blind faith. But there's really no sense of blind faith. When you have faith, it's not blind. It's I know. It's a sense of knowingness. And that's the wholeness of the spirit. So I'm just seeing here. Oh. Okay. So yeah, I am just so honored and grateful to be here and to just share openly and authentically. And yeah, I just wanted to say that also I will be opening Akashic Angel Academy again in the fall. And this is going to be a 6-month long instead of a year, because we're going to have calls every week. So I've been sharing all about it. This is my signature container. This is like the best place to work with me. I have also scholarships that I offer if you're wanting to know more about that. I haven't officially opened the doors yet, but people are already signing up. We have about 5 women. So there's only going to be a limited amount of spots. So if you're wanting to join, and if anything that I shared today in this live, anything that I share in my posts, if that inspires you or it uplifts you, or you feel a nudge, you feel like a pull, then yeah, I would love to have you join. And I'm also gonna be announcing another really special offering that I have been guided to create, and that will happen in about 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, just thank you to all who joined, all the sisters that joined, and I love you so much, and I'm so honored and grateful to be here. And just come back to that wholeness, just come back to that love, just come back to that there's nothing to feel guilty about. That's the domain of the ego, is that guilt. That guilt is so strong, and that guilt is what the ego likes to use to make us feel less than, and to make us feel like we're not doing enough or being enough, when we can never be less than we already are, which is perfect love. And that set me free. And I would love to help others really come into this sense of awareness, because I've seen what it's done for my life, for my family's life, and my clients, my friends, my sisters, all the angels in Akashic Angel Academy. So we are doing it. We are bringing in love, miracles, peace, love, and unity. May all beings be happy, free, and know their true inheritance within.